Okay, heathens, let's talk about childhood trafficking. The recent release of the Sound of Freedom movie, that seems to be what everyone's talking about, so I figured as someone who's actually been a victim of human trafficking that I would chime in. Hi, for those of you who are new here, my name is Ben. I grew up on a Mormon polygamous compound, and I was labor trafficked for 10 years from about the ages of 8 until I was 18. And as an actual victim of human trafficking, I have a real problem with the Sound of Freedom movie, Tim Ballard, and Operation Underground Railroad in general. And I want to be really clear here, I'm not a fan of human trafficking. I think it's bad, obviously. But Tim Ballard and his entire organization and his entire cause gives me a massive ick. Because it seems to be focused on this rah-rah, macho, kick the doors down, go in, guns blazing, SWAT team rescue kids in sex trafficking rings in Guatemala. And while it feels pretty good to believe that the solution to childhood trafficking is as simple as kicking some doors and down and showing up with guns, it's not. The actual problem is far more complicated. And most of the victims are victims because of family members. They're not getting kidnapped and stolen away to random countries. They're being trafficked in their own neighborhoods by family members. I was trafficked in my own home. Family members came and visited and saw that it was happening, and yet no one did anything. And that is a very, very common story, especially in America, especially with religious cults like Mormonism, where you have thousands of children in the polygamous versions of Mormonism being labor trafficked every single day, and 60,000 teenagers getting trafficked by the LDS Church as missionaries. Yeah, I said trafficked, because labor trafficking is just when you convince someone to do work through fraud, force, or coercion, which is obviously what's happening with missionaries. Anyway, back to Tim Ballard. Look, buddy, you're gross. You're using a real, awful, actual human problem to make yourself look awesome. Like some kind of white Jesus Messiah savior person. You have a hard-on for Joseph Smith and you want to somehow be a messiah and a modern-day abolitionist. But creating paramilitary drop teams to go kicking down doors in developing countries to pull children out of shitty situations does not actually solve the problem of labor trafficking or sex trafficking, because it's a very complex problem that involves brainwashing, manipulation, and usually the victim's family. So for everyone who's losing their shit about how awesome Sound of Freedom is, just look in your backyards. There's probably a child being trafficked.